Hi, my name is Devina Bhagani, and I will be taking you through my journey in education. My interest in the field of education began when I completed my undergraduate degree in psychology. I always knew I wanted to continue my education and thought what better way than to be able to educate others. So I decided to pursue my Master's of Arts in Education with a concentration in special education. Although I'm not currently in the classroom, this class has opened my eyes on different aspects of teaching and education. I will use what I have learned in this class to better myself as an educator and to be aware of the different situations that may occur in every classroom. The socio-political nature of education is extremely important in schools today. No matter what school district, nationality, or socioeconomic status students are, all students should have access to an equal public education. Having a background in special education makes this idea hit home with me. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, requires that all students with disabilities receive the right to a free, appropriate public education. However, it is my personal belief that as educators, it is our responsibility to apply this to all students, disability or not. The resources that are provided to different school districts may not all be the same, and neither is the funding. Gloria Ladson-Billings in 2006 discusses the achievement gap that exists in our educational society today, which refers to the disadvantages that minority students receive in the classrooms in comparison to white students. Ladson-Billings also discusses the difficulties minorities faced with access to education in the past, where African Americans were forbidden to receive an education during slavery, and American Indians were not welcome in predominantly white schools. Yet society has the same expectations for all students. Schools spend drastically different amounts of funding on students. Ladson-Billings continues to discuss how two nearby cities spend a difference of about $9,000 per student annually, yet all students are expected to be of the same standards. Since resources are not allocated equally, it is our job as educators to think outside the box and provide creative and innovative assignments that can provide the same access to all of our students. It is our responsibility to treat students equally and to provide a safe learning environment for them. I feel we are our students' strongest advocates, and we must stand up for their rights if no one else will. There are many different types of learning theories available today for our students. However, not all students learn the same way, and it is our job as educators to provide a variety of teaching styles to best fit students' individual needs. Throughout this course, we have discussed 6 learning theories. B.F. Skinner is known for the first learning theory called behaviorism. Skinner in 1990 uses operant conditioning to help explain why we do the things we do. If a behavior is positively reinforced, it is more likely to occur again in the future. If a behavior is negatively reinforced, it is less likely to occur again in the future. As a soon-to-be special educator, I plan to use this theory myself. Research has shown that this learning theory can be extremely beneficial to teachers in the classrooms to show students what is both inappropriate and appropriate behavior, and it is fairly easy to conduct. Another learning theory we discussed was cognitivism from Jean Piaget. Piaget describes cognitivism by explaining that development and cognitive development both occur in 4 different stages. These stages explain how children develop their thought processes and gain knowledge through experience. Piaget also explains that understanding occurs in steps. You must first understand the basics before moving on to additional information. Vygotsky discusses social constructivism, which is similar to cognitivism, where learning occurs through experiences and through collaboration with others. Students may have an increase in their intellectual capabilities when guided by peer collaboration or teacher guidance. This theory supports the notion that students must work together as a team to solve problems. This learning theory can easily be applied in the classroom by providing students with group work and allowing students to determine the solutions to their problems based on collaborative thinking. These next 3 learning theories are based on diverse learners, including both adults and children. LeVay and Wegner describe situated learning theory as situated. It occurs in normal daily activities and it is unintentional learning. Knowledge can only be derived in settings that would normally involve that knowledge. Social interaction is imperative in situational learning. Newcomers begin gaining knowledge in a community of practice and then transition into an old-timer. Constructionism, described by Papert and Harrell, is another learning theory best described by learning by making. The idea behind this learning theory is that you must construct your own knowledge. Constructionism is based on the fact that learning and education are always changing and technology can assist our students with that. Computers in the classroom allow students to actually produce their own knowledge. Constructionism allows students to create something instead, as opposed to teachers lecturing or reading a book and taking notes. The last learning theory we discussed in this chapter was called andragogy. This learning theory focuses on adult learning as opposed to student or child learning. Knowles discusses adults as continuing learners and how adults learn in phases. Adults are self-directed learners and must motivate themselves to continue their education. We as adults, instead of learning because we have to, like when we were children, now learn because we want to, because it becomes our own desire as we mature. As our lives go on, we are more interested in learning based on our problems, such as our careers or our personal lives, and we focus on what we can do to better them. There are so many different types of learners today. There is no such thing as a typical student. As teachers, it is our job to address the variety of students we have in our classrooms today. Lee, in 1992, discusses the variety of students' ethnicities and first languages that we see in the classroom and using scaffolding to help address this. Scaffolding involves teachers using the knowledge students have of their own cultures to help engage them in learning. If we find a link between what we are trying to teach and what students already know, it will make learning only that much easier for the students. We as teachers must be respectful and patient with all of our students and realize that different cultures are among us, and we must be sensitive of this and realize that all students do not learn the same. Meyer in 2009 discusses how heterosexuality is displayed as the norm in schools, but sexual diversity can exist even at young ages. As teachers, it is our job to teach that diversity and make it known that different sexual orientations should not come with a negative stereotype. We also need to be aware of the student's action and the bullying that may occur because of this. Students should not become victims of abuse due to having a difference in their sexual orientation. It is important that as teachers and administrators, we are proactive about documenting any instances and making sure we protect our students. Another population that is discussed by Harrower in 1999 are students with disabilities. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act requires that all students with disabilities receive a free, appropriate public education and they be placed in the least restrictive environment possible. If students with disabilities are placed in general education classrooms, there are worries that students without disabilities will receive less attention or that the students with disabilities will disrupt the classroom. However, simple solutions are available to these students. Research has shown that parental involvement and instructional adaptations have been shown to be effective for students with disabilities. We have the resources available to us, and it is our job to use them to ensure that students are receiving the educations that they deserve. The last group of diverse learners include those who are what Prensky refers to as digital natives. Information is now available at the push of a button instead of researching in an encyclopedia or at the library. Teachers must incorporate this technology that students are so interested in to engage them in learning. Students can even make teaching more efficient. They have the ability to show us how to do things easier and faster. We must associate the interest in technology into teaching so it is appropriate for our 21st century learners, or teaching in a classroom may become obsolete. It is my intention once I become a teacher in the classroom to promote the thoughts and the ideas I have learned in this course. No one student learns the same, and it is my job as their teacher and advocate to provide many different activities and many different theories of learning to accommodate each and every student. I plan to promote diversity, communication, and independent as well as group learning. No one student is going to have the same background. I myself am a minority, and I would hate to think a child doesn't feel welcome in my classroom because he or she is different. I embrace diversity and hope all students will join me in doing so. I plan to learn about the backgrounds of each and every child and begin getting to know each student immediately. It is my personal hope to be in constant communication and gain both the trust and respect from my students very early on. I feel by doing this we will have the appropriate relationships to have a successful school year. As a special education teacher, I know I will have many students with different disabilities, and that's okay. Because after gaining the knowledge that I have in this course, I know I have the appropriate tools to run an efficient classroom. I can use positive or negative reinforcement to explain appropriate classroom behaviors. I can also use peer collaboration for students to work together to find solutions to their problems, and I can even find technological advances that can better assist my students. There are so many considerations when it comes to teaching children, and now I can provide them with assignments and lesson plans that will change them intellectually and help them grow as individuals. In addition to helping my students, I now know the reasons and motivation behind adult learning. I can collaborate with my peers and know that we are on the same page to better our students' lives and our careers. After taking this course, I now understand more about our students' needs and the need for multiple learning styles and theories. I will never consider two students the same and do my best to accommodate everyone individually. I hope my students will think of me as someone they know, trust, and respect, and realize that I will only do what is best for them. I hope to challenge my students and make the classroom an intellectual, creative, and a fun environment.